Okay guys, welcome to another lesson by your teacher Ahmeduddin. Q Skills 3 Listening and Speaking Unit 6. So last lesson we went through the first half of Unit 6. The Unit 6 was on are we responsible for the world we live in? And there were some questions we had to ask ourselves like what does the word or phrase take responsibility mean? Then we went on to learn some vocabulary such as benefit, demand, pollute, profit, just to name a few. We learned about inferring a speaker's attitude by the way he talks. Somebody who speaks slowly or hesitates, maybe because he's shy. We learned how to use a dictionary, and we'll go on. Actually, we didn't learn how to use a dictionary. We're going to do that today. So in this lesson, we're going to learn how to use a dictionary. We're going to learn how to use gerunds and infinitives, stress important words, leading a group discussion, and taking notes on a discussion. So we'll start off on page 120 using a dictionary. So when you use a dictionary, when you find the word that you're looking for, you're going to find that there's many different meanings for that word. That's because that same word, you can use it in different ways. Sometimes it can be a verb or noun or adjective. So in the book, page 120, they have the word wrong. And it says it can be a verb, noun, adjective, or adverb. Has 4 different meanings. And I brought an example of my own, the word make. If you're looking at the screen now, to produce something, often using a particular substance or material. For example, do you want to make me some coffee? Another use of the word make, to cause something. The kids made a real mess in the kitchen. Made a real mess. They caused the mess. And the third one, to take action so that you are certain that something happens, is true. I'll just make sure I've turned the oven off. So you're just making sure the oven is actually off. You're double checking. So when you're looking at a word in a dictionary, find the meaning that fits your context. Why are you going to use this word? How are you going to use it? That's very important. You want to use the word in the correct manner, the correct way. If you don't, people can and will misunderstand you if you choose the wrong meaning. So there are some exercises for you to do on page 121. It says use a dictionary and find the correct meaning of each bold word. So we have peak, abandon, outstanding, abuse, and so on. So all you need to do is use a dictionary to complete that exercise. Let's go on to page 122. We're going to talk about gerunds and infinitives. So to put it in simple terms, a gerund is the base form of a verb plus ing. And infinitives, you put the to in front of the base form. What do we mean by base form? Base form is a verb stripped down to its basics. So for example, you have the word cook. This is the base form. You add ing, it becomes cooking. You add ed, it becomes cooked. If you take the ed away, if you take the ing away, you're left with the word cook. And this is what we mean by the base form. You cannot take anything away from the base form. You can only add to it. So you can add ing, do get the gerund. And you can put the particle or word to before it to make an infinitive. So the examples is given in the book. Nigel enjoys doing the chores. So he's doing the chores. So a gerund is something where the actions are real, fixed, or completed. So he's doing something. He's actually doing something. Whereas infinitive, which is to plus the base form of the verb, is used when actions are unreal, abstract, or for the future. So managers decided to ignore safety concerns. So the action here is not real, or the action here is, sorry, it's not real, it's not fixed, it's unreal, or it's abstract, or it's in the future. It's one of the three. In this one, it's abstract. So let's go on to the next page. What's the difference? What is the difference between a gerund and an infinitive? So we have a sentence here, two sentences in fact. Very similar, but look at it carefully, they're different. The first one says, I remembered to take my umbrella. The second one says, I remembered taking my umbrella. What's the difference? What is the difference? We know infinitive is unreal, abstract, or future, and we know gerund is real, fixed. Yes? So is it in the first sentence, the person is remembering to take the umbrella. So it's unreal, it's abstract. It's abstract. The stress is on remembering. He remembered in his mind to take his umbrella. He hasn't actually taken the umbrella yet. He just remembered. It's in his mind. It's abstract. While in the second sentence, he's remembering the act of taking the umbrella. So he actually took his umbrella. He remembered taking his umbrella. So he's actually taken his umbrella. It's an act that is completed. So once we know that, we can move on to exercise A. All you got to do is circle the correct verb form. I'll do the first one with you. Vicky says, hey Janice, did you hear the news? My boss agreed. So agreed, either giving or to give me a promotion last month. So ask yourselves, is this abstract, real, unreal, fixed? Which one is it? Has he given her a promotion? No. He's agreed. So it's going to be to give. It's abstract. Okay, I'll let you complete the rest of the exercise by yourselves. And you can move on to exercise B after that. Write the answers to the questions. Page 124. Stress on important words. Stress can be on nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. These words are usually louder and clearer than other words. Why? So that they can help you hear and understand the most important information. That's why a writer or speaker would do this. A speaker may be highlighting it in bold, or you may have to figure it out yourself. So let's listen to the example sentence.
Unit 6. Pronunciation. Examples. We are all happy to buy our clothes more cheaply, but do we stop to think where they were made and who made them? Do you know who made your jeans, your shirt, or your running shoes?
Okay, good. As you can see, she made her voice loud and clever on the bold words. Now, we will move on to exercise A. It says underline the stressed words.
Unit 6. Pronunciation. Activity A. 1,
Corporate social responsibility is becoming a big issue these days.
2,
Of course, companies want to make money. There's nothing wrong with that.
3,
What is the cost to us, the planet, and the society we live in?
4,
Imagine a company is polluting the environment. Who is responsible?
5,
More and more consumers are demanding that companies pay their workers a fair wage.
Okay, good. Now, exercise B, you're going to listen to it again and you're going to practice stressing the important words. So repeat what the speaker says.
Unit 6. Pronunciation. Activity B. 1,
Corporate social responsibility is becoming a big issue these days.
2,
Of course, companies want to make money. There's nothing wrong with that.
3,
What is the cost to us, the planet, and the society we live in?
4,
Imagine a company is polluting the environment. Who is responsible?
5,
More and more consumers are demanding that companies pay their workers a fair wage.
Okay, good, guys. Now we're going to go on to exercise C. Read the extract below. Read the extract below. Underline the important words that should be stressed. Yeah, that should be stressed. So if you can do that now. Once you've done that, we're going to listen and you're going to check your answers. So please do that now, then listen to this.
Unit 6. Pronunciation. Activity C.
As consumers demand higher standards, more companies are trying to improve the lives of their workers and the society they live in. These companies show that profit and social responsibility can go together.
Okay, good. Now you're going to listen to the same audio again, and you're going to do like we did before. You're going to practice stressing the words as you underlined in activity C.
Unit 6. Pronunciation. Activity D.
As consumers demand higher standards, more companies are trying to improve the lives of their workers and the society they live in. These companies show that profit and social responsibility can go together.
Okay, good. So once you've done that, we're going to go on to the next part of the book, page 125.
Unit 6.
Before we do that, actually, we're going to watch this video just to make sure you understand the topic at hand. So hopefully this video will be beneficial for you.
Stress on important words. Listen to the speaker say the sentence. What do you notice about the words in blue?
A benefit of recycling paper is that it helps to save trees.
When we say this sentence, we put more stress on the words in blue. In other words, we say them louder and longer. But why? We usually put extra stress on content words. Content words include nouns, such as benefit, recycling, paper, and trees. Verbs are also content words. Examples are helps and save. In contrast, function words are usually unstressed. Function words are usually smaller words, such as articles, prepositions, and pronouns. They connect content words, creating phrases, clauses, and sentences. Function words also include linking verbs, such as is or are. Stress on nouns. Nouns are content words. When we use prepositional phrases, we stress nouns but not function words, such as articles or prepositions.
They're in the mountains of Italy. It's in the back of the building. Get to the point of the story.
Common prepositions include in, of, to, with, and for. Stress on verbs. Verbs are content words. When we use a verb plus to plus an infinitive, we stress the verbs, but we do not stress to. In the following examples, notice that to is said more softly than other words, so it may be difficult to hear.
I want to study engineering. She needs to visit the library. We plan to go there soon.
Stress on nouns and verbs. Listen to the sentences. Which words are stressed? Which words are not stressed?
I went to the bank to withdraw money. They decided to watch the game on TV.
Notice how the speaker stresses all of the verbs and nouns. They are the most important words, or content words. Stress on adjectives and adverbs. Adjectives and adverbs are also content words, so we stress them when we speak.
He is kind, intelligent, and hardworking. They worked quickly and efficiently.
We often use conjunctions like and, but, and or to connect adjectives and adverbs. Conjunctions are usually function words, so we usually do not stress them. Although we stress adjectives, we usually do not stress possessive adjectives, such as my, her, him, its, our, and their.
Blue is her favorite color. That's not their best work.
Stress on important words. Listen to the sentences. Which words are stressed?
My teacher is helpful and knowledgeable. I drove her car very slowly and carefully. Our city wants to build a new stadium.
The speaker stresses all of the content words, including nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. When we focus our listening on the nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs, we can understand the main point, even if we don't hear every unstressed function word. Listening for the important ideas. Read and listen to the questions. Think about the bold-faced content words. Choose the correct answers.
Our topic today is items that people can recycle. One of the most important materials to recycle is plastic, because it doesn't break down easily when it is thrown away. Millions of plastic bottles end up in landfills every day. Paper is equally important to recycle, especially when you consider that millions of trees are cut down each year to make paper products.
Now check your answers. How did you do? Did listening for the content words help you focus on the speaker's most important ideas? Remember that when someone is speaking, listening for the stressed words can help us understand what information the speaker thinks is most important. Likewise, when we stress content words as we speak, it can help others understand our main ideas more easily.
Good, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you need to watch it again, you can rewind it and listen to it again. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide. So now we're on page 126. We're going to be talking about leading a group discussion. So first of all, what is a group discussion? It's a type of meeting. It can be formal or it can be informal. It might have a goal, it might not have a goal. It might be just you and your friends talking about a particular topic, sharing ideas. That may lead to a goal or it may not. Sometimes you may have no time constraints. There's no time limit if it's informal. There's no order or agenda. But if it's formal, there may be a time limit. Now, depending if it's formal or less formal, usually group discussion, its leadership is less directive. The leader is just there to push people to share ideas and to encourage people to speak. So, group discussion emphasizes process, the consideration of ideas, so that's people sharing ideas with each other over specific tasks that need to be finished. So the whole point of a group discussion is sharing ideas. That's the most important part of a discussion. That's the main reason people have discussions, to share ideas. Okay. On page 125, the role of the leader is to guide the flow of the discussion. So what does he do? He starts the discussion, gets comments from members of the group, keeps the discussion on topic, ends the discussion. And there are some phrases, some words you can use when you are leading a discussion. So when you're starting a discussion, you can use phrases like, the topic I'd like to discuss today is, and you can say how we impacted the environment, for example. Our topic today is environment, for example. If you want people to give you their opinion on idea, you could say, what do you think, Masood? So you're asking Masood what he thinks, what's his opinion. You're trying to get information out from him. Or you can say, for example, Kelly, what's your opinion? And if you want to keep on the topic, you can say, let's get back on the topic. For example, you might be talking about the environment, but then somebody might start talking about cars. So you can say, sorry, but can we keep to the topic? So a discussion is usually one topic, not two or three. Okay, and to end a discussion, you can say words like to sum up, to summarize the main points. That's all we have time to today. Thank you guys. So going to page 126, exercise A. It says complete the discussion with the phrases you hear. So let's listen to that now.
Unit 6. Speaking Skill. Activity A.
Okay, so today we're going to look at recycling and exactly who should be responsible. Brad, what's your opinion?
Well, I think that basically as individuals, we can't change much. It's the government that has to take action.
I see. What do you think, Celine?
I don't agree. We all need to do what we can. I mean, just one person can't do much, but everyone in the world acting together can change a lot. It's the same with raising money for charity. When everyone gives a little money, you can raise millions.
Yes, my brother ran a marathon for charity last year, and he...
Sorry, but can we keep to the topic? Susan, do you have anything to add?
Well, I probably agree with Brad. Recycling is such a big problem. You need the government to act, really.
Okay, so to sum up then, Susan and Brad feel the government should take responsibility, while Celine thinks individuals should lead the way.
Okay, guys, once you've done that, we can move on to page 120. But before we do that, actually, let's go into more detail about the leader in a group discussion. So, what does he do? We've talked about it before, now we're going to talk about it in more detail. So the leader, he discusses a specific issue or to plan something. So he comes up with the topic. And if the topic is unclear, then the leader, he asks the group members to define the problem or to encourage them to share ideas. Another role of the leader is that he involves all participants. So some people might be shy, they don't want to speak. So what he does, he encourages them to speak. That's what the leader does. He makes everybody has the opportunity to communicate their thoughts. So while the discussion is happening, the leader will ask questions to advance the discussion, to take the discussion to the next step. He might provide information or arguments that stimulate thinking, make people think, or he might ask them questions. And the leader should be aware of the progress of the discussion, if it's at the beginning, middle, or end. He will also summarize or clarify any points or arguments or ideas. For example, somebody might not understand a point that somebody else has made. So the leader will get that information. He will clarify it. What do we mean by clarify? Make it easier to understand so that everybody understands that point. And he also makes sure that they reach a conclusion of a certain point or points. Okay, and the last bit, wrapping up the session. So that's like concluding the session. He should make plans for the next steps. Maybe they might have a second or third meeting, or might involve other people to the group. Maybe they have more knowledge. And if there's any tasks or assignments that need to be finished, he will give that to the people, make sure they do that, know what their responsibilities are, and make a deadline and review those deadlines. So, page 127. Taking notes on a discussion. So the importance of taking notes. Why is it important? Why is it important? So students can refer to them in the future and be able to revise efficiently. That's why it's important. So our students should make comprehensive notes. So notes that are good and contain a lot of information. But that doesn't mean you write down everything. You should cover all the main points. You should show how different points relate to each other. You should give examples and opinions. You should organize them. And we'll go on to that later on at a later date. So for example, you can imagine you have a lecture and you're taking notes down. And then 3 or 4 weeks later, you have an exam. If your notes are good, you can go back to them, you can revise. And that's being called efficient. Like I said before, you don't need to write everything down when you're taking notes. You write down the key information, keywords, main points, give examples. And you can make abbreviations. What do we mean by abbreviations? Look at the screen. Information, we write info. Info means information. We're saving time. We don't need to write the whole word. Another way to abbreviate larger words is to take the beginning, middle and end letters of the word. For example, manager, you just write MGR. So when you see the word MGR on your notes, you know that means manager. And if you do this, you don't need to write a lot. Keep it nice, short, but informative. Now, this exercise A and B that you need to complete. Look at the main points and the detail of the discussion are noted along with their supporting ideas. So that's one example. And going on to page 128, we have a listening. 2 listenings in fact.
Unit 6. Listening 2. Activity A.
So, you're all ready to discuss this week's assignment, I hope. Individual responsibility. I'd like to start with our personal experiences and focus on home life. Naomi, would you like to begin?
Sure. Well, speaking for myself, I live with my parents, and so I think it's important to help out as much as possible. For example, I'm in charge of taking out the garbage and sorting all the bottles, papers, and plastic things for recycling.
How important do you think that obligation is?
Recycling? It's really important. I mean, my mom and dad don't really care, so that's why I do it all.
And Michael, how about you?
Oh, I help out around the house. I do the dishes after meals and wash the car every weekend on Saturday mornings. Those are my main responsibilities.
And you, Nina?
Oh, I have to look after my little sister when my parents are busy. She's 7, so when I get back home, I usually make her dinner and help her with her homework, that kind of thing.
Mark, what are you responsible for at home?
I take care of our pets. We have 2 rabbits and a cat, and they're quite a lot of work.
Okay guys, that audio, was for page 126, exercise A. I repeat that audio, was for page 126, exercise A. Now we're on page 128. I'm going to play the audio for that. I apologize.
Unit 6. Listening 2. Activity C.
So it seems as if you all feel responsible for helping out at home in some way. Okay, let's widen this out a little now and think a little more about parents and children. How many of you have parents who always want to know where you are? I see, quite a few. How do you feel about that? Mark?
Well, I know they worry about me when I go out. I guess that means they feel responsible for me, but I wish they would Like relax. They should just trust me to be sensible. They don't need to check up on me, where I go, or the friends I have, but they do. They call me all the time when I'm out. It makes me really angry sometimes.
It's not always easy for parents, is it? Do any of you sometimes lie to your parents? Maybe tell your parents you're going to one place when in fact you go somewhere else. Neil?
Once, yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
Well, they don't like me playing computer games at home, so I said I was going to the park when I really went to Jason's house and played games. I felt really guilty, so I told them and promised never to do it again.
Why do you think your parents don't like you playing computer games, Neil?
They say they're too violent, and they think there's too much bad language, all that.
Are they right?
Yeah, I guess so. But playing those games doesn't mean I become violent and use bad language all the time. I want them to trust me more. Trust me to be responsible. I'm old enough to make my own decisions.
How do the rest of you feel about that? So you want your parents to trust you to be responsible. Does age have something to do with it? The amount of responsibility your parents think is appropriate might depend on how old you are. Yes, Naomi.
Yes, I think that's right. But by the age of 16, you're old enough to know the difference between right and wrong.
Neil, you agree with that?
Yes, I'd say around 15, 16. You should be responsible for what you do by then.
I don't agree at all.
Really, Mark? Why not?
You're still too young at 16. People can influence you in the wrong way. I know people who changed a lot in high school, in a bad way, because they met the wrong people, had the wrong friends. I think you have to be 20 before you're really responsible.
Michael?
I think you can be responsible from a much younger age. From the age of 5 or 6, your parents can teach you what is right and wrong, how to behave, how to respect other people, and...
Okay guys, that's the end of that exercise, and with that we conclude this lesson and unit 6. So on page 129 there's a checklist: listening, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, speaking and note taking. And there are some words there you should know, and phrases. If you don't know them, you need to go back and revise these phrases. So now we will
Unit
conclude
6.
there.
Listening 2. Unit 6. Listening 2. Activity C.
So it seems as if you all feel responsible for helping out at home in some way. Okay, let's widen this out a little now and think a little more about parents and children. How many of you have parents who always want to know where you are? I see, quite a few. How do you feel about that? Mark?
Well, I know they worry about me when I go out. I guess that means they feel responsible for me, but I wish they would, relax. They should just trust me to be sensible. They don't need to check up on me, where I go, or the friends I have, but they do. They call me all the time when I'm out. It makes me really angry sometimes.
It's not always easy for parents, is it? Do any of you sometimes lie to your parents? Maybe tell your parents you're going to one place when in fact you go somewhere else. Neil?
Once, yeah.
Can you tell us about it?
Well, they don't like me playing computer games at home, so I said I was going to the park when I really went to Jason's house and played games. I felt really guilty, so I told them and promised never to do it again.
Why do you think your parents don't like you playing computer games, Neil?
They say they're too violent, and they think there's too much bad language, all that.
Are they right?
Yeah, I guess so. But playing those games doesn't mean I become violent and use bad language all the time. I want them to trust me more. Trust me to be responsible. I'm old enough to make my own decisions.
How do the rest of you feel about that? So you want your parents to trust you to be responsible. Does age have something to do with it? The amount of responsibility your parents think is appropriate might depend on how old you are. Yes, Naomi.
Yes, I think that's right. But by the age of 16, you're old enough to know the difference between right and wrong.
Neil, you agree with that?
Yes, I'd say around 15, 16. You should be responsible for what you do by then.
I don't agree at all.
Really, Mark? Why not?
You're still too young at 16. People can influence you in the wrong way. I know people who changed a lot in high school, in a bad way, because they met the wrong people, had the wrong friends. I think you have to be 20 before you're really responsible.
Michael?
I think you can be responsible from a much younger age. From the age of 5 or 6, your parents can teach you what is right and wrong, how to behave, how to respect other people, and...